I have to tell you, I very nearly just decided not to record any of these things with the camera on until I could get rid of this mustache. I'm not a fan. I've got to do it for some stuff. We're doing a thing where I have to record for a particular kind of part, and the easiest way to convey that part is with this thing. Not a fan. No, I am not. In any case, let's just pretend that this isn't happening. This lip caterpillar, and we're gonna move on from there. So when we last left our hero, they were departing the planet of Glimmer on the Zebulon Harding. It was Earl and Fidget, Alexis, and our old friends. For somebody who has a memory that goes back all of 2 months, old friends Arnav and Asana, who are both coming along on the ride here on the Zebulon Harding because Earl has asked them to, and they are friends of his, ostensibly, and they have agreed to come. I say ostensibly because one of the missions that Earl has right now is to retrieve Arnav and bring him back to Lagrange Station because apparently he was once working with those folks, the first compact, and they have parted ways and they would like to speak with him. Earl's kind of torn about this, but he did agree to help them out, and this is what they asked for. So he is trying to figure out a way that he can do this, and everybody ends up not dead and not wanting to kill him. See how that goes. Before he brings them back to Lagrange, he is also had vowed to Kay that he's going to try and retrieve any of the captured wisps that might currently be in the possession of Meridian Station. He believes that he retrieved some of those early on at the request of Dancer, who's a contact of his on Meridian Station. They found them actually in the same ship that he found Arnav, Paladin. So, how exactly do you intend to get on Meridian Station when they shoot you on sight? Asks Arnav. Quite rightfully, because yeah, it's pretty damned unlikely that that's going to actually work. Seems like they're basically shoot on sight when it comes to the Zebulon Harding. They've had more than enough cause to get practice at that. The ship is certainly, they certainly are pretty good at identifying it. So what do you do in that kind of situation? And Earl says, well, it's a good question. We're going to give them a reason not to shoot at us. What kind of reason is that? Well, there won't be any point. We'll already be dead. And then we are going to we're gonna have to go. We need to travel. We need to get away from Glimmer. And I have been where we are planning to go, but there is no easy route to get there that we have tracked, which means I have to kind of figure out the destination and then from there kind of work our way there from the direction that we're going. So we're going to undertake an expedition to do this, which means trailblazing a route through perilous unknown space. We're departing from Meridian. We're parting from Glimmer. There are some Meridian folks in the area. I do not want them to know where we're going or even know that we are the ones that are going. So we are definitely heading out to do this by keeping under the radar. Okay, so we're gonna get out of here. It's like I'll explain. I will explain. I promise. I'm gonna wait a while to do it because you're not gonna like it very much. In the meantime, see if you can make some coffee. This is we got a little bit of time here, so we're gonna undertake the expedition, which is rolling shadow. Also relevant are a couple of the traits that I have here. See, I've got a couple of things here that really encourage me to do bigger expeditions, like dangerous ones in my starship, but I don't want to. This should be fairly straightforward, so I'm going to not do that one. When you undertake an expedition plus shadow and roll a 1 on your action die, you can reroll it. Okay, so good to know there. And also, when you make a move against a specific foe or threat to avoid detection, add +1. So I'm adding +1, and if I roll a 1, I get to roll again. So that's okay. All right. Right, so let's get up here and roll that. Undertake an expedition. Going with shadow. Well, it's a good thing I got that. You know what? I do love when I get a thing and it immediately pays off for me because I rolled a 1, and I need to only roll not a 1 to have this be a strong hit, which is awesome because I did get I got a weak hit on this. So I'm going to roll a d6 and plus a total of +4. And let's do that one more time. That is a 8 against the 2 and the 5. So I got to re-roll, got a 4 against the 2 and the 5. That makes that a strong hit. I love when I get an asset and it immediately pays off. There we go then. So we're going to go over here to progress. We are going to make a undertake expedition from Glimmer to Freya's Wrath. I'm giving away some of it. Freya's Wrath. That's where we're going. It's just troublesome, so I'm going to mark progress on that and just remind myself if I need anything else. On a strong hit, you reach a waypoint, envision the location, and mark progress according to the rank of the expedition, and we will envision the location. Where did we come out for our first little skip through Eidolon, from Eidolon space? These encounters, our space sighting is something. Turbulent gravitational wave. Okay, we probably could have made the whole jump except for this turbulent gravitational wave. I'm going to say we're just out in completely dead space. Like, I shouldn't say dead space. We're in the middle of nowhere. Turbulent gravitational wave. I want us to be in the middle of nowhere, but that gravitational wave had to come from somewhere, didn't it? Alright, well, what kind of stellar object is generating this intense gravitational ray? A smoldering red star. These things are everywhere. It's like kids' toys just laying around everywhere. Crazy. We got a little bit too close to this thing. Pulled us out. That's fine. I am not going to linger. I am not going to explore waypoint as much as it might be cool for me to do that. I am going to continue on with the undertake the expedition move. I am not, unfortunately, going to be able to go with shadow because I'm not really avoiding detection from anybody at this point. Certainly nobody specific. So we are just going to go with our wits, which is staying vigilant and doing that. So staying vigilant, undertaking the expedition, and moving along. No modifiers on this one. And off we go. Okay, so that's a weak hit. I could burn momentum to get a strong hit. I have a well-documented reluctance to burn momentum just to get from a weak to a strong hit, especially when the weak hit still lets me mark progress as long as I do a suffer move or face peril at the waypoint. I have to do 2 points worth of suffering or face peril. Okay. All right. So a couple of rolls here real quick. I got a meteoroid blah, blah, storm fills the sky, and a dense nebula cloud. I don't know much about nebulas, but I'm pretty sure that meteors, I guess they'd be asteroids if they're not falling out of the sky, do not generally, they shouldn't be in nebulas, really. So what we're going to say is that there is something similar to meteors. Basically the idea is that the space that we come out of is filled with dangerous obstacles. Okay. Not a tumbling asteroid field like you would see in Star Wars, because honestly that would never exist, although it's cool as hell. But what instead I'm going to say is that we actually come out into this dense nebula cloud and immediately encounter, we are in the midst of a cloud of functionally shrapnel that is tens if not hundreds of kilometers wide. Some sort of space battle, fight, or explosion of massive proportions took place here. And the stuff is still out here. It's still dangerous. It is still a risk to the ship. So what we're going to do, I could do this one in two ways. I could take like an integrity hit to the ship, have it take damage, or I could have a face danger roll, which is actually what I'm going to go for, because I can end up with I might end up with the same thing, but we need to get out of this field, and we need to do it in such a way they're not going to do it, not going to damage the ship as much. I could just decide I'm going to grit my teeth. So what's at risk here really is like taking 2 points worth of suffering, 2 points worth of damage to the ship in the process of getting out of here, which is pretty risky. I am going to attempt to face danger to navigate our way out of here. And ooh, that is an interesting thing what I'm going to do, because okay, so we see all this and it's like a couple of things are hitting off the ship, and Zeb is like, Earl, I said, well, okay, Zeb, you want to take this or you want me to take it? I think we should work together. That's an excellent idea, Zeb. I like the way you think. And we are going to face danger with... What do you think? What do you think? What do you think? Expertise. It's probably a toss-up here between expertise, focus, or observation, speed, mobility, or agility. My thinking is, I mean, this stuff is tumbling and dangerous, but going fast isn't necessarily going to help us. We're not being pursued. There's no reason to run. And I'm working with Zeb in this, so that whole expertise, focus, and observation thing, I think, is kind of reflects that. You know, we're playing it careful. He's giving me all the sensor stuff, and we're just working like a well-oiled machine up here and going to get this thing done. So we are going to roll with our wits on our face danger and see where that gets us as we navigate our way through this field of flotsam and jetsam that can tear holes in our ship. And that is a strong hit. Yeah. Team Zeb and Earl, get it done. Team Earl? I think the only way you really could do it. Anyway, all right. So that is a strong hit with the face danger. You are successful. Take +1 momentum. Doesn't do any good whatsoever because we are already at 10 with momentum. But that's fine. We deftly and carefully move our way out through the field, get away from it. I don't think Earl would actually stop to look at this and try to, at this time. He might, in another situation, spend weeks out here, slowly salvaging his way through all the little bits and bobs of stuff that's out here in the area and try to figure out what happened. But right now, he's got a mission. He's got someplace he needs to be, so he is going to buckle down. I do need to mark progress, so that gets us up to 6 on our progress track for undertake the expedition. And I am just going to buckle in and make one more jump and see if we can't get where we need to go. So let us once again undertake that expedition using wits, no other additional bonuses, staying vigilant. Off we go, see what we get. That is not bad. It's 7 against 6 and 3. That is a strong hit, reaching the waypoint, envision location, and mark progress towards the rank of the expedition. And that is just fine with me. I am definitely going to mark my little thing here, and that gets us up to the thing. And I'm going to conclude the expedition with 9 out of 10 and hope for the best. There are a couple things that happen with my assets when I complete an expedition, and bummer. Well, one of them isn't going to apply, but that's okay. So we're going to do that, do our progress here, and conclude our expedition and see what we get. And that is a 9 against the 3 and a 4 with another strong hit. Love to see it. Love to see it. All right, so with that move, conclude the expedition. What happened? Finish an expedition. On a strong hit, you reach your destination, complete your survey. Mark a reward on your Discovery's legacy track. According to the expedition's rank, you get 1. This is just a troublesome, so we get 1 tick on our expedition. But one of my assets does matter. I am an explorer, and whenever we finish an expedition and score a hit, I get an extra tick on my Discovery's legacy track. So that is 2 ticks on Discovery's. Mark, and almost so close to another chunk of XP there for clearing that out. The thing that I was kind of sad about is because I was doing a quick one, like a troublesome one, and not doing dangerous on the expedition. If you do dangerous and you complete an expedition, you get a hit, then your bond with your ship lets you add a tick to your bond's legacy track. But that is not what we're doing right now. So the rest of the crew kind of wandering in as we're finishing up the jump and coming out, and Arnav is like, so where exactly are we? Oh, no. Earl, what are you doing? And we have come to KTAC 347V and the abandoned ship known as Freya's Wrath. For those of you who came in late, or it's been a long while, you will recall, I will remind you, that Freya's Wrath was the ship that was orbiting this dead sort of no atmosphere ice world out here at KTAC 347V that I was sent to by Dancer to retrieve the case that I was asked to bring back to Meridian, which I suspect contained these wisps that we're trying to retrieve now in the first place. That is not why I'm here. That has nothing to do with it. It's also where I found Paladin, who was, in fact, attached somewhat precariously to the side of the ship in a shuttle that couldn't detach from the ship because of the way that he had hacked his beat his way into the airlock and damage the airlock so that if he disconnected, it would vent the atmosphere of the shuttle and possibly Freya's wrath out into space. So we had to leave the thing attached, and this is where I found Paladin. That's also not why I came, and I'm explaining all this to the thing. And finally, Asana's like, okay, why did you come then? Instead of telling me why you didn't, why are you here? I'm like, because I need that ship. Why? We're going to cut to coming up, the Zebulon Harding coming in slowly over top of this thing and the shadow going across. Oh, I like that. The shadow kind of coming across Freya's wrath as they come in here. And we have Earl, actually all four of them, because Zeb can pilot the ship and I don't want to leave any of them back on the ship right now. So all of these guys, we have the airlock coming up. All four of us are in here. They're all kind of looking at me and Earl's just kind of looking ahead. So what we have to do is we need to get the ship running again and we need to seal up that airlock so we can get rid of that shuttle. Why is that? Because we got to dock our ship with it. What Earl will be explaining through the course of this next bit while we're mechanically working on this ship is that this is essentially a search and rescue ship. Big fat engines on this thing, if you look at it, like big old fat engines. And it's meant to dock with other ships and essentially work like sort of a space tugboat to haul them in or pull them out of dangerous spins, or if they're out of control or something like that, you can get in there and you can lock in with it. It's got enough engine, and it can also pull stuff back or pull it even from lost places like this. Now, this fact that this ship has been left and abandoned is ironic because it's actually a rescue ship, functionally. It's not a pretty ship. But yeah, the way I'm envisioning is you kind of like dock up here underneath at the bottom, and it sort of like attaches to the other ship, sort of lamprey style. It just, right to it. And that's where the shuttle's currently at, and that's what we need to get off without venting the whole, well, it doesn't really matter if we're in suits that the thing is vented to the atmosphere, but we really need it to be sort of intact so we can dock with it. So we're going to get this thing, we're going to attach it to Zebulon Harding, have our ship go dead, and then we're going to fly this thing right up to Meridian Station, claiming salvage on an abandoned ship. And while they're trying to figure out what the hell's going on, we're all going to sneak onto the ship and find those wisps. How are we going to do? Well, we'll get to that. It'll be fine. Now, if this were a TV show, the fact that Earl just told us what the plan was means that that's definitely not how the plan's going to go. But that is what it is. All right. So now what we have here is we got a ship that we need to fix. Let's look at the repair move, which is down here under recover, right? Repair. When you make repairs to your vehicles, modules, mechanical companions, or other devices, envision the situation and roll. Make your own repairs or direct a companion to make repairs, roll plus wits. And that is what we are doing. So here's what the deal is. I've got a repair shop. That gives me a +1. I also have Fidget with me, and Fidget is a technician. Now, I'm already a mechanic, but mechanic, technician, they're adjacent, but whatever. I'm relying on her, good old Fidget, to help me out with the electronics and the command systems and stuff like that while I get this thing going on. Meanwhile, I'm going to direct our smuggler and our thief to get down to the engine room and see if they can just see if the power plant's even going to work. I am fingers crossed on this that this thing's actually going to go. Let's find out about this ship. Its condition is cold and dark. All right. I think the condition is cold and dark, but that just means no power right now. It's not damaged or breached. It's not heavily damaged. It's not impending destruction. Limited power would be great, but we can work on that. All right. So actually, I'm going to split up here just a little bit. I am going to go with Paladin down to the engine room and try to get the power plant back online. And I am going to have Fidget and Asana go up to that airlock and actually go up to the command center and see if they can get anything going there, and then we'll worry about the airlock last. Let's get power going first. That'll be the ideal thing. So I am going to go and we're going to do a couple of repair rolls here basically to get these things going. So meanwhile I'm also going to do a little bit of stuff. So bringing him along, and he goes, I gotta admit, I didn't really understand what the hell you were doing here, what kind of thing you had going on bringing this back here. And so, well, it's been a little while, a little stroll down memory lane. You don't just like the romance of it. It's just I needed another ship, and honestly, it's the only other ship that I can think of that people wouldn't necessarily object to me taking off with. Paladin's like, I could have got you another ship. Yeah, we'd also have to get it off the planet without anybody noticing it, connecting it with us. This is the cleanest. And I wonder, there's not really a lie, like deceive type of move, but I'm not really telling the truth. But it's also not so bad that I think Paladin would really call me on it. He might not believe me, but he's not ready to push because how long did you say you stayed on here? Oh, it was a couple months. I had to use all the emergency supplies in the shuttle and scavenge around in here. There aren't going to be a lot of food supplies in here, and you might want to not go into the bathroom in the captain's quarters. That is, I don't imagine that's gotten better with time. All right, well, that's good to know, I guess. Get into this. So I am making my own repairs. I'm not going to take the bonus from Fidget on this, but I am going to take the fact that I've got the repair. Actually, I will, because collectively I'm just going to do one roll. So I'm taking a +1 from the repair shop, because anything that isn't necessarily working, I can get in there, and I can also, Fidget's with the technician thing, I think can help with all this. So we're going to do one big roll and say, all right. So after I do a little bit of work, I radio up Fidget and say, okay, you got anything online up there? And she goes, well, I'm ready to get things back online. I've got a little emergency battery backup to run the panels and stuff up here. So we've got something going. I'm ready for any kind of real power to come in here, and we'll see what we can do with it. I'm like, all right, well, let's give it a look. I'll give it a roll here. That is not good. Okay, so that is a miss, but this is why I don't spend the fucking momentum on weak hits to fix them to strong hits. It ain't worth it. It's not enough of a difference. I can deal with the interesting stuff that happens from that, and sometimes you need 10 momentum because you rolled a 7, which should be fine, against a damn 8 and a 9, and that 10 will save your bacon. And that is why I'm keeping that around. So I am absolutely going to burn my momentum for this and turn it into a strong hit. But what this looks like in this case is a lot of scrambling, because I turned the thing on and the first time, sparks everywhere up in the control center. I hear Fidget yelling, shut it down, and I tried to I'm on the, once I get it shut down and the screen and the yelling stops, I like get her back on comms, and she's like, okay, I kind of see what happened. Just give me a few minutes. See if you can, like, you got to control. There's a surge coming between your power plant and up here. See if you can figure out where that's happening, because something is definitely not getting throttled correctly somewhere else in the ship. So there's a lot of us trying it and not getting anywhere, and it takes, like, you can see from the sort of, it's almost a training montage, but it's a repair montage where we try it and it's like that, and it's like, yeah, and then like a fuse goes off somewhere else in a completely different hallway, and all the lights go off again. We're like, oh, back and forth. So yeah, it takes our momentum, because it takes a shit ton of time to finally get everything going as we get things going. But finally we cut to, okay, all right, everybody cross your fingers and toes. I can't even feel my toes anymore. Yeah, I know, we've been in the suits for a while. Let's just, and click. And the lights come on, and one little pop over here. I'm like, don't. Oh, finally. Fantastic. Okay. All right, we are functional. Probably. We are mostly functional. We are going to get this thing going. Excellent. And we'll clear basically this is fix one broken module and get some integrity back in the vehicle. That will finally get us going with that strong hit. Back to what we needed to get going here. So this is the whole thing. Now we'll do some other stuff where you'll see the shuttle kind of break away after we get the airlock doors to come shut. And then we disconnect the shuttle, and the shuttle kind of tumbles away. I got a strong hit, so since I'm paying the momentum on this, I was thinking about like a complication for a weak hit would be like we get the airlock sealed, but it won't actually dock with the Zebulon hiring, so we still have to go from ship to ship. We've got to go outside the ships and come back in, and just to have that extra complication. But I'm not going to do that, because I did pay for a strong hit, so I might as well get the benefit of it. We're going to get rid of this ship here, and I will note that we have established a little. We're going to do a little line here from Glimmer over to KTAC that we could do as a quick trip back. And actually, given how complicated it would be to get back to Meridian Station, I think what I'm going to do actually is for my return trip, I'm actually going to do two set a course. We're going to set a course, and we're going to set a course from KTAC 347V back to Glimmer, and then another set of course down to Meridian Station. That makes more sense to me because we are literally moving these ships as though they're bound together. We need to be seen doing that if there's anybody who's scanning like the entrance and exit points in a system, and as much as possible. And it's a lot fewer rolls to negotiate with this thing strapped onto the outside of the Zebulon Hind to get it back. So we're getting all this thing kind of going here, and at some point in time, we're going to have a conversation with Paladin about, kind of talking. He's like, so good chance Meridian knows who I am. They definitely know who you are. I don't know if they're going to know who Asana is. Do they know this friend of yours, Alexis? Fidget? Nah, I don't think so. I said, so they're going to be flying the ship, and we're going to be hiding somewhere? Yeah. Hopefully, that'll be enough of a misdirect that they're going to understand that we're going to be able to take advantage of it, and they won't see us coming because they're not going to know these ladies or anybody. No, it's not a bad plan. I said, yeah. Are they going to know this ship? I mean, did you know anything about this ship before you got here? I know you said something about wanting to salvage it. Well, we were going to salvage it, but the crew turned on me before about something else entirely and left me to rot out here next to this thing. I didn't ever think to try to get it going. I mean, I took a few stabs at it, but they were literally kind of stabs. Right. I just, I just wondering if you knew anything else about this thing. I would hate to pull up into Meridian Station and find out that they know about this ship too, or they find something about it. And I'm going to try to gather information here because I am looking for clues. I'm asking questions. I'm trying to ping Arnav again about what his whole history is here with this thing. Because I've gone back and listened to that conversation between myself and Arnav when we were talking about this ship when we first met. And let's just say I have questions. So I'm going to try to gather information here and see if I can suss out anything about what's going on here with Arnav before we go on here and get some kind of clue. So no modifiers on this, I don't think. So we're just gonna carry on our merry way. You know what though? I did think of another gather information I might do. We're gonna try that one next. What did I learn from Arnav? Got a weak hit. Okay, so on a weak hit, the information provides new insight, but also complicates your quest. Envision what you discover and take +1 momentum. That's fine. Envision what you discover. Complicates your quest. What was the salvage that they were so disagreeable about? What? Well, you said that you'd wanted to do something specific with a certain kind of salvage, and your crew didn't like it very well, and they left you out here to rot. What was that? Oh, it was well, be honest, it was we had captured or found a wrecked old corporate vessel. I don't really truck with them folks, and they wanted to bring it back because there was an outstanding reward for it with the corporation that wanted it back, and it paid better than stripping it down for parts and tearing it apart for information and clues. A lot better than that, which is what I wanted it for. Huh, interesting. Was it Meridian? Well, yeah, now that you mention it, I guess it might have been. And you had this Meridian ship, and then they took that back. I don't know what they did with it. I haven't been back in touch with them. You haven't tried to find out anything about them since you got back into the world? No, I thought it'd be better to just take the high road there. I keep an eye out for them to make sure they don't find me, but I think they probably think I'm dead, and I'm happy to let them think that. It's very high-minded of you. And they never thought about scavenging what was on this ship? Honestly, I don't even know what's down the hold. You seem to have an idea when you were here last time, but I had other things on my mind, and the stuff that was down there wasn't food, so I didn't really care. Yeah, I guess I'd think probably the same way. Now, the other thing that I'm going to do with this, because it bugs me that he is continuing to stick to whatever this cockamamie story is, and that kind of annoys me. But the other thing, I'm going to actually do another gather information, but this one's more about the ship itself, because I have an asset I have almost never used I don't think I've ever used for this purpose, which is Scavenger. When you gather information by scavenging a wreck, ruin, or abandoned site, add +1 and take +1 momentum on a hit. And I am going to do that now because I am poking around at this thing after he's not around. and taking a look at just what's in the ship and what I can find out. And we're gonna take one more poke at this thing. So move, gather information. I'm taking a +1 and adding +1 momentum if I get a hit. And that is another weak hit, 5 and a 6. Take +1 momentum, but I get an additional +1 momentum. So I get a little bit more momentum, but I learned another thing. All right, so I've been poking around the ship for a little bit, still trying to get things, seeing if there's any kind of clues. I'm not really finding on anything. I'm not finding the kind of stuff I want to find. There's crates and stuff, and there's some technology in there that, might be. I see some stuff in the crates that, man, I tell you, it almost looks like if somebody were kind of going the same route that I had been going with Kay's spacesuit to kind of contain and control and contain the energy from the wisp. You could use a lot of the tech in these crates to do something like that. So I mean, maybe that's connected to those crates were there. It's not really getting me anywhere, and it's frustrating, and I don't even understand really why. I mean, if he wasn't in control of the ship, or wasn't able to fly the ship, if he was stranded on the ship by himself, sure, but the shuttle was here, so why was the shuttle here? It doesn't make any sense. Anyway, I'm heading back up. Head back up to the airlock because Zeb is bringing in the ship, our ship, to dock in and seal the seal with the airlock. And I'm getting up there through the hallway through the gangway that leads up to the airlock, and I'm just waiting on the other side. And I'm getting ready to do all the handshakes and whatnot that happen when the ships need to kind of negotiate and authorize, do safety checks and that kind of thing before they lock. And this all happens extremely quickly. Basically the thing comes up and there's a seal pop, and there's immediately a second later the lights on both sides go green and the airlock cycle. Zeb? Yes, Earl. That was an awfully quick safety protocol check there, bud. What's going on? I'm not sure what you mean, Earl. Well, normally, granted you got a lot that you're thinking through up there. The handshake that takes place through the airlock system, is that a subsystem? Yeah, I don't actually pay attention to that directly, Earl. That is handled by the subsystem on the airlock doors. Right. That takes a bit. How long, Earl? 20, 30 seconds, sometimes quite a bit longer. Depends on the age of the ship and how good the subsystem is, I suppose. Whether or not it's being handled directly by the ship or anything like that. It took less than a second to authorize. Can you access the systems and figure out why it was so quick? Something wrong down here? Well, let me look. There's a fairly brief pause. Earl, all the checks for security and authorization had already taken place. Well, I'm not sure what you mean there, Zeb. I'm not exactly sure what this implies either, Earl, but those airlocks had already connected in the past, and they still had authorizations in their buffer that allowed the ships to immediately lock and open to one another. You're saying this ship docked with the Zebulon Harding already? Yes, Earl. Do you have any record of that? No, Earl, I do not have any record of it any more than I have a record of anything else. So this ship has been docked with our ship? Yes, Earl. And the doors remember. If there's a buffer, if Zeb's memory, Zeb, if your memory was wiped but the door wasn't, does that mean that the door remembers? Does that mean some of your subsystems might remember things that you don't? That's where we're going to stop. Oh my God. Oh my God. That's cool. I love that. I love that we can go into the memory buffer and the log buffer for various systems in the ship and start scraping through there and see if there's any memory, any evidence that we can start sorting out. Oh, there's clues on the ship. All right. And that's where we're going to stop. I love that for a little twist there at the end. Thanks very much, everybody. I'm going to get to this thing. We're going to get it out there so you can all check it out. Please just forget that you ever saw the mustache. I apologize for inflicting this on everybody. Anyway, that's it. We're going to head out. I think this is session 39, so coming up on session 40, very exciting. And next time, if we're not, we don't spend most of our time digging through tiny little memory chips inside of every semi-autonomous system in the Zebulon Harding, we're going to sneak our way up to Meridian Station. Until then, thanks very much for all your comments and support. You guys make it worth it, and I'll see you soon.